From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of My Burbank Talks, presented by the staff of My Burbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, everybody. Craig Sherwood here with you once again, along with Craig Durling, who's pointing and not saying hello.
Hello, everybody.
You people
Hello,
on
Burbank.
Podcast only.
Hello. I'm such a hack.
I know, and of course,
So I'm new to this whole thing.
And of course, the effervescence in Ross Benson.
The effervescent Ross Benson. Is he
Ever,
evergreen or effervescent?
Yeah, you know.
Good evening, America. Here we go.
Hello, hello.
Podcast number 956-2.
Or 75.
Oh.
Whatever is easier.
What's happening, boys?
Good evening.
Good to have Craig Durling with us again. He's off assignment again this week, so he's back in the studio with
That's
us.
right.
And it's
I'm
always good
busy,
to get his
man.
perspective. We always appreciate that.
He's working the buttons.
I'm working. See what I can do? I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that, but I'm going to do that.
Yes, but I can.
But you can turn this whole thing off if you want
I can.
to,
I can hit this button right here, and now you can't talk. So there you go.
In a perfect world, everybody would have such a button.
Yeah, isn't that the truth, huh?
Yeah.
What the heck happened last week?
So let's get to you on the tonight's show, October 30th, the week that was and the week that will be, and we'll go back to last Tuesday, October 24th.
We're skipping Monday.
Skipping Monday because we did the show on Monday, and we talked about Monday on Monday.
That's right. Yeah.
So we can't have we used to do our shows on Sundays, and then we started off with Monday every week. But now that we do our show on Mondays, we kind of skip on over Mondays.
I thought we did our show on Monday because we get to see Heather on Monday.
Oh, I thought we did our show on Monday because you didn't want to do it on Sunday.
At Patty's Toluca Lake. At Patty's Toluca Lake.
Yep.
We have our little show meeting.
Our pre-show roundabout.
Heather, our waitress, once again, phenomenal.
Yeah,
always
she was
appreciate
busy
Heather.
tonight too.
Very busy.
She was busy.
Had time to get my salad very quickly for me though, which I appreciated.
That was amazing. Like she threw that.
Yeah.
Here it is.
There it is.
Boom, salad.
Hey, what happened at the
Sure, that's what everybody tuned in for.
Last week's council meeting. It's funny. I sat there the week before our last week's show, and I said how our city attorney Joe McDougal will never give any information out after closed session. He just said council had no reportable action. I mean, you might as well push a button on our board here and just say the council had no reportable action. Well, guess what? The council had reportable action. They actually went into a closed.
Wait,
session.
don't we have a sound for that? Like,
No, that's what you have. You in a pre-production meeting, you go over what sounds you'd like.
Oh, I thought we had Dragnet or something.
That window is closed.
Dragnet is not for a city attorney. Anyhow, so they had an addendum to the
A what?
Addendum.
Oh, okay.
To the council agenda last week, so that they could have they had to add this at the last second at a special session or closed session about talking about the election districts, and we don't know what was said because, of course, closed session means they don't. The public has no way of knowing what is brought up because it's usually about litigation matters. But evidently, they decided they're now going to fight the letter, as I call it, fight the shakedown. So they're
From Herman Garcia?
On council district.
from Nick Gutierrez.
This is the council
That's
district.
the guy, Nick Gutierrez.
So evidently now they're going to fight the lawsuit or potential lawsuit that he wants to bring, because number one, the guy's never shown up once. His people have never contacted the city. There's been no communication whatsoever. It's pretty much a shakedown. With even the letter was factually wrong that they sent.
And it's already cost the city how much?
Well, so far about $300,000.
$300,000.
So, but the city they said they're going to continue to look into districting and look into how elections will still go. They're not going to stop the process. They're still going to look into it, but they're also now going to fight this lawsuit because it's.
So bring it on.
Bring it on. So, and I do hope that if they do fight it, they also say we want expenses back.
Yeah.
We want damages back. We want our attorneys paid for. We want everything paid for that we put into this if they win. Pretty much like I hope they're going to do with the Tin Horn Flats thing. When they win that, and in all honesty, I'm sure that these Tin Horn Flats owners are going to declare bankruptcy and, I'm broke and, now I've left the country. Like
He was never in the
Right,
country.
never in the country, but his son was. And I guarantee they're all going to declare bankruptcy after taking $96,000 on GoFundMe and taking $75,000 in PPP and everything else they were doing. And they'll declare bankruptcy now. And the city may not ever get anything, but at least we'll have a judgment against them, hopefully for maybe $500,000 or something.
It'll be a win.
So I'll take the
Count it as a
win.
win.
Even if they don't pay us, I'll still take the win.
Yeah.
Let them be proven guilty.
Well, it sets precedent.
Yes.
It's like, okay, nobody else try this now because we're going to fight you. If the city just lays down, it's just going to invite more.
I remember
of this.
many years ago there was a lawsuit against a couple of litigants in the city. City won, and they took their property. It was the property at the corner of Oak and Buena Vista. Pardo, I think it was his name.
Don?
No,
Done.
was an
Bordeaux.
but it was him and Elodie McGee and all that, and they lost and they took his property. And
Well,
I know the owner of Tin Horn Flats owns a couple of condos and some other property.
Well, or his wife does, or his holding company does, or sure.
Right, he probably doesn't own it.
It's just
not
like
in his name, right?
Just like his wife owned the Tin Horn Flats property, and they were divorced. So who knows what goes on with that family? I'm sure they hide things, and hopefully we'll figure all that out. So anyhow, they're going to fight the council districting, which I'm very happy about. I think it's the right move, and I've said before. It's funny when they fought the Pickwick thing a year or so ago, and I said that's stupid. They're going to lose that, and of course they lost it and lost $500,000. But I don't mind losing or putting money into this because something that's going to change the fabric of our city for generations. When one person can make that decision, no, I think if all the citizens said, we want to see districts. Okay, I think it's legitimate, but when one person can make that change.
Nobody's ever seen or heard from.
Right. That it maybe doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so that happened. That was the first thing at the council meeting. The Rancho residents all came up and they want the construction. Well, first of all, they want the condos gone on the 900 block of South Mariposa. And that
910 Mariposa.
Well, that's not going to happen. And the stables that were there, they're gone. They've moved out. They're gone. And the residents say no to the condos. They have a website, no condos on whatever it is, and they have to realize the city council has no power to stop the condos from coming in. It's a private company following the law. If they were doing something illegal, absolutely, the council could step in. They could do things, but when somebody follows the law exactly as the law is written, if the city were to say stop, then once again, here comes another lawsuit, and here comes another $500,000 we're going to lose again, and they're still going to build them, just like the Pickwick is still going to be built.
Again, on this matter, I understand their point. Okay,
Right.
they're scared about the horses, construction, trucks driving down the street.
But not have the project. That's the part they don't understand.
Well, but they're trying to say all these other things that they're going to do are going to cause problems, so you got to stop the project. You're not going to stop the project, folks. I don't care.
And in fact, you can't even make the owners do these mitigations.
Well, they're going to ask.
They're going to ask.
I asked one of our council members, and I said, "You know what that guy's going to say? We dealt with the owner. He came to us with his first project,
which was a
butterfly,
a nice office project that was very, when I say organic,
he met with the horse owners. He met with the neighbors, and they didn't want to do.
No, they refused to even talk to him. They refused to put it. We're not going to do it, even though he owned the land and he could do that. He said, "We're going to fight and fight and fight." So you know what he said? Fine, then I'll make it a housing project. It'll be under SB 35, and now you don't have a choice.
Right.
So you know what they
know what they're doing.
Yeah, these people with a lot of millions of dollars, they're not going to just sit there. Oh, I'm sorry, the guy with the horse down the street doesn't want us to have a condo, so we're going to leave and we'll build you new stables. No, that's not going to happen.
I do understand some of the. Again, I talked to a couple of our council members, and I guess there's along the river, there's a very short fence.
That's been that way for 50 years.
Yes, but they're worried that a horse is going to get spooked.
Absolutely.
And either throw somebody off or somebody's going to go into that wash.
In all honesty?
That doesn't sound like a construction problem to me.
No, but they want that fixed prior.
If there's a loud banging or something, I can see that. But here's the thing. Why have they not brought that up in 50 years? Why have this? And why has the city not been proactive.
Well,
if you look at that, there's a very sharp downgrade toward the fence, and the fence is like 5 feet high. So, I mean, if you're riding a bicycle, you could actually slip and fall right into the.
It's already a hazard.
It already is. So why wasn't? Why hasn't?
But I was just recently told that is not Burbank property. That is not Corps of Engineers. It is apparently L.A. or somebody else's, and Burbank has no say.
Well, I'm sure if they talk to each other in 50 years, they could probably have worked out something. Does somebody fix something? Because
text.
Evidently, we just gave them a huge piece of property in Johnny Carson Park, or I don't know. That's not Johnny on the other side. Is that Buena Vista Park or on the Riverside Drive side?
Considered Johnny Carson.
Okay, and
that's a freeway going through.
We let them build their water and power pipelines, and now we're going to have a dog park there. So evidently, we can talk to them on certain things. So why in 50 years could they not talk about that?
And there's those giant water tanks going in off of Forest Lawn, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
that's been going on for how long now?
Oh, but that's a requirement of the law. You can't have any water reservoirs
that's not covered
above ground. They have to be covered now, and
so they build them above ground and then cover them with dirt.
But that'll be a park. They save the dirt. They put the dirt up at Forest Lawn, and the dirt that they excavated to put the 2 tanks in, they're going to put it back.
Well, it's going to be like Brace Park. Brace Park is on top of a giant reservoir.
So eventually that will be a park, park along Forest Lawn
that's
Drive.
in L.A. City.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really surprised they haven't done that up on Orange Grove and Sunset. They built that big, huge reservoir up there. Could very easily have put a park or a dog park or something.
Well, you got
on top of that, and they could have included parking, the whole thing.
No, there was a reason they couldn't do it up there, but what's right
didn't
next to it? Bel Air Ball Field, not Bel Air.
Yeah.
What's at the top of Orange Grove?
It's
next to the Mormon church. It's a baseball diamond with 2 diamonds on it.
Right.
That's on top of a water tank.
Yeah, the city of Torrance up on the hill up off of Crenshaw has a whole sports facility, baseball fields, tennis courts, everything over a huge water tank.
Yeah, they're all over. Burbank doesn't
there.
Realize what's underground.
Yes. Anyhow, so I think the residents, I understand their concern about the horses and about, the horses being spooked and I never knew this before, but if a horse were to step on a nail, it could actually kill the horse. They have no way of really solving that problem. I guess it's like a horse who breaks a leg. They have to put a horse down like that. You just can't put them in a cast and, go a couple weeks like that. So, I mean, I understand the concerns. I absolutely, and I'm sure the city's going to try to do things to mitigate the problem, but the construction's not going to go away, and the construction's going to happen. And it's too bad that the residents couldn't have worked with the initial setup, the initial, development, because it would have been offices and people would have gone home by 6:00. But now with condos and apartments, and everything else, people are going to be coming and going all times of day and night now. So what can you do?
Moving on.
So they talked about parking meters. And once again, they decided they're not going to put them at the Metrolink lot. They now want to come up with a management plan for downtown Burbank, basically on San Fernando Road between Olive and Magnolia, and on the 3 streets, I believe Orange Grove, Palm, and just Orange Grove and Palm, right?
Right.
Yeah, but not in the parking structures. The parking structures will remain free parking.
Good. I like that.
I was so surprised that what we talked about last week was it's going to cost them $500,000 a year to maintain the program, and they expect to make $500,000 a year. So I just don't see where breaking even is.
Yeah, what's in it for the city?
Well,
we touched on this last week,
and not one councilor brought that up during the presentation.
Really?
I go,
seems like an obvious question.
Plus, there's $325,000 initial upfront costs.
Right.
So in the long run,
we're in theory with their formula, the city's never going to make that back.
Right. So I mean, I understand the needs for it. I understand why it could be a good thing because the people will park there less time. The employees won't park there, and we open up more parking
Yeah.
for people.
Well, it's so limited on those
But you know,
on those streets.
Ross was talking last week. They want to expand that to Magnolia Park and help the merchants out. But if it's a break-even program, how's that money going to go to the merchants then?
Right.
That's a little. I find that hard to understand.
Well, like I said, downtown they said on fees from cars parking too long, violations, those fees will add up. That'll be
So that's
a bit.
money from tickets. So
Right.
That'll be the profit. Money from tickets they give out.
And now that they're actively citing people, that will be the big, one of the big ones. So.
But it's my understanding from last week that if they put in parking meters, then this contract company will also be doing the enforcement, right?
Right. And they have to hire more people.
Well, that would be up to that company.
Right. But
that would be done through
I'm
them.
sure they would come to the city and say, we need to hire more people now for your needs, so you're going to have to pay more to us. To me, it's just it's an evil spiral of nobody's making money on this thing. It's just, but I understand turnover is actually good for the merchants because now if more people can park in front of their place.
Well, it keeps parking the vehicles rotating for the customers and stuff.
Yeah.
So they
that's a good
sit
thing.
there all day and
But think about it logically here. Pasadena, Glendale, Santa Monica, all these cities have had parking enforcement for years. Burbank has sat on their hands for at least the last 5 years and thrown away several $1 million.
Well, not really. If they've had to pay out the $7 million too. My thing is, we got to
start somewhere.
I got to figure Glendale and Pasadena have a formula worked out where they're actually making money on parking instead of breaking even. I would think. I should have. Yeah, it's funny in the city of LA. Boy, you park at a meter and you're there an extra 30 seconds. There's a guy on a bicycle rides right up and boom, you got your ticket.
Well, I would. Is it safe to assume? Maybe not. It's never safe to assume that the city has done some research on this.
Oh, quite a bit.
Some homework and
I just
figured this might be the best avenue
by the numbers that were presented. So, I think it needs to be reworked a little bit. So we'll see what happens, and we will keep you informed.
Sounds good.
Thursday the 26th, the Burbank Young Professionals held their 5th anniversary party. It was a costume party over at West Coast Customs. So we had a story and some pictures on it on the website. And money raised at the event was going to West Coast Customs Academy that assists students who are interested in pimping your ride alongside WCC staff.
I guess if the public schools don't have auto shop classes anymore, then they get to do.
But I never thought in all these years I would actually be saying the words pimping your ride.
Not together anyway.
Yes. So, Ross, you were there. So, any you want to talk about on that?
There were some scary people.
Are you traumatized?
I still am. There was a guy dressed up as a Pillsbury doughboy, and he was wearing his white underwear in public.
That's it.
No, he had a whole costume.
Oh, okay.
They had a costume contest. They had Beetlejuice there. This guy had those things in his eyes where you couldn't see his eyes; they were just black dots.
Oh, that's creepy.
Oh, it was creepy, and he had hair like, well, not like mine. But
well, he had hair. That's scary.
He had hair.
Scary enough.
I think he won first place of the contest. Pillsbury Doughboy won second, and a female in a witch's costume won third. But they gave out some prizes. They had drinks flowing. That's what they were raising the money for. And Burbank schools and West Coast Customs. We've run the story a couple of times. Has an academy where you can get school credit and you can sit with their people and learn what they do to cars.
And it's a shame that we've lost our shop programs out of the schools, because when your car breaks down now, who's going to fix it?
Well,
the guy playing a video game
over there, they don't do repair work, but they do the other stuff.
Yeah, but there's still
but you learn the nomenclature and anatomy of vehicles and all that.
And
so I guess
no offense, you look at the owner of that company. I mean, he's done pretty good. He's got the Burbank place at Magic Mountain. They have Universal. They're putting in a ride that behind with West Coast Customs. So that's the thing nowadays. These kids want to learn that. So that's
Well,
where
and
the
it's
money,
up to the private sector now to kind of fill that void too, right?
right,
So,
right. And I'm real glad he used to be down in Orange County, and he decided to move here to Burbank, and that's
well,
another
right across from
opportunity.
the Empire Center.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we're kind of burying the lead. Happy anniversary to the Burbank Young Professionals.
Yeah,
You can read all about it at myburbank.com.
the Young Professionals are an offset of the Burbank Chamber of Commerce, and they're a couple of the original people that put it together, Ramak, and I know there were a couple of people there. They were in a picture that kind of got the idea 5 years ago. Burbank has a lot of entrepreneurs. And
Ramak's everywhere. That guy,
Oh, he is.
he's everywhere.
He is. And they started it, and they have a whole mess of people that are part of this Young Professionals. I mean, in this industry where we live, producers and animators, they're starting their own little production companies. I believe the one other person that started in his bathroom, moved to his garage, then he moved bigger, and now they have a full office and doing animation with all the major studios. Started as a
Well,
young
we know many
professional.
creatives have some of their best ideas in the bathroom. So
I hope,
So that was
hope all those cartoon characters
proved
close their
through
eyes.
history.
So it was kind of fun. Lots of food. In fact, one of the board members owns a restaurant right down here on Pass, the Deli. What is
Oh, Kings?
Kings?
Kings Deli. Yeah,
Brian.
Right.
Brian and his wife.
absolutely.
And they were there. They, in
Been there.
fact, provided quite a bit of food. I went to look at a sandwich. There were only 2 sandwiches left. And I turned to Brian, the owner, and I said, who brought the sandwiches in? He looked at me. He said, we did. I said, oh, I know it'll be good then.
Right. Yep. Good
It's
stuff.
nice to see. I talked to him a bit. Kings, Craig, we got to go over there. They're open on Sunday now, and you can get a $10 sandwich. I've been there before, and everything's $19, $20, but they have it.
Yeah.
But they're open on Saturday and Sunday now.
Right on.
10 to 3.
Right on. Been there. Been there.
Great little place. Nice to see young professionals doing
Yes.
this thing.
Good for them.
Moving
Good
on,
organization.
moving on to Friday, we had the big game. And the
Big,
game,
big.
of course, between Burbank
All
and Burlington.
caps.
You know how big?
It's all
And-
caps big.
And it sounded more like disappointment more than anything. I mean, just
Oh,
the 75th running of the game, which should have been an important thing to start with.
Doesn't that sound like the Breeders' Cup, the 75th running?
Okay, 75th anniversary
sound
of the
effect?
game. Okay, which
Wilbur.
nobody brought up whatsoever. There was no celebration of that. Ross, you were there and said that at game time there was like 50 people on the Burbank High side,
It was rather sad.
which is, I mean, either the sport of football is dying, the high school interested. They only I know they limited. I don't know about Burbank High, but Burroughs students were limited to 500 students. After that, they had to pay. So I'm sure a lot of them just didn't show up. Where they could have all gone to the game and sat on the overflow section on the home side, but because they probably don't want to buy a ticket, after they're told you buy an ASB card, you get in free of the games, and then they changed that.
like I said before we met at the studio, we're just overall, we're just
And then-
losing our sense of tradition.
Well, and then Ross, called me, because we were setting up our coverage. He goes, "There's no balloons out here. There's no festivities for the royal court. There's nothing. It's just they walk them on the field, say their names, and they walk off the field. And what happened? I mean, we talked last week about you getting the Cadillacs and the cars and driving those around the fire trucks.
Where's the pageantry and the
Then
ceremony?
they had the stage. Of course, I know Burbank now is against stages all the time. The school district does not want stages at all. But why not at least balloons? I mean, senior nights at least have balloons or something, So what's happened? What?
It was, like I said, I have covered the Burbank Burroughs game for about 50 years now.
Probably, yeah.
And I think when I called you, I was shocked, that there was nothing. They lined the walls of the fence with tons of signage. Burroughs was in the visitor stand. They were maxed out with people.
And they always are. 1,500 seating, I think.
Yeah, and it was maxed out. and then they let people sit on the
Right,
visitors.
so you have an
side.
overflow section on the other side.
Correct, and that's what they did.
Is it a lack of interest? Is it a lack of a sense of tradition, lack of money, or are there too many rules, or what?
Well, I think there's a lot of rules now.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
like you said, just said no stages
Yeah,
allowed.
and your signs can't say anything about the other team. You can't. Yeah, I mean, back in the days when you had, you'd see Burbank High riding signs, "Scalp the Indians." Oh, you can't say things like that.
Well,
now. And the Bears, of course, not the Indians, but you can't say anything against the other.
well,
team.
everything's offensive now.
Everything's because you can't say like hybrate with the Bears or something because the Bears would take offense to
Beat
that.
the other team. No, that's violent.
Yes, you don't want the Bears to take offense to something you might say.
But they also, I think part of it was Burbank didn't have that great of a football team this year. Now, just a couple years ago, they beat Burroughs. And I remember same coach. But again, football is different.
Well, Burroughs was playing for a league title.
Right.
And they won a league title, which is, phenomenal, and congratulations. But I just think that the sport of, there used to be 3 teams too, freshman, JV, and varsity. Now there's only 2 teams.
Right.
I mean, I think that the sport of football is losing its luster, not just in Burbank, but across the country.
I was real surprised.
But NFL football somehow, and college football, you keep, but then I look at the fact that that LA City played a football game at the Coliseum. Thousands of people. There's another one in East LA College, sold the place out, a high school football game. Football still is a big deal, but for some reason it's not a big deal here anymore. We built a huge stadium for what? And we put $10 million into a field for what?
The field had to be done. I don't think that football in that field collates there, but because there's a lot of other things that go on.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And
fields
that
in LA
field
that don't have.
was in pretty bad shape.
Wow. You haven't been to North Hollywood High lately, have you?
I don't leave Burbank. Don't you remember that? Do I need to remind you
The
that?
bubble, Craig, the bubble.
Yes, I have not gotten permission.
Don't forget.
But
the
I will
bubble.
say that once the football game got going, they did the coin toss. We had State Senator Anthony Portatino out there and did the coin toss, and our Vice Mayor Nick Schultz, Shar Tablet, and Armin Arkeli got in.
Well, I'm sorry. What? Wait, what?
I'm not going to repeat
Sound
that.
it out. Sound it out.
My tooth is not glued in properly.
Okay.
So I'm not going to repeat that.
We put subtitles.
Yeah.
We just.
But I was told by our vice mayor, and he walks on the field and he's wearing a blue coat with black lettering, and I go, wait a minute, you can't do that. That's Burbank High's colors. And he says, it's a City of Burbank City Council shirt. What can I do? I said, wear something else.
Yeah. Well, how about a white shirt?
Right.
Because they both have white.
Right. So they did the coin toss. The game kicked off. They don't even, when the teams run in from the side and run through the paper sign and make all the noise, that was even different this year. I mean, I was just thrown off by all these things. I'm glad we had another photographer there helping me out.
I know they charged money for the JV game the day before too. It's like they're trying to make money off it, and they don't really and then save all the money they can and not spend any there. I
remember the
know.
good old days.
It's sad. It's sad because
What's going on around here?
Part of playing in a sport and part of and it was funny. One year I helped coach football at Burroughs. Probably.
Oh, that's what did it.
Probably 25
Now we
years
know
ago.
what happened.
And I had come at that time. I was I had taken the year. I was just coaching JV football with Mike Rosefo. He was the head coach. Or it was freshman. I can't remember. It was freshman football. I'm sorry, freshman football. And all people talked about all the games were, wait till the Burbank Burroughs game and all those people are there. Just wait till that game. And I kept saying to myself, why is it we're so worried about that game? Why aren't we worried about Canyon? Why aren't we worried about Hart? Why aren't we worried about the other teams in our league? And I said it's all about that one game, which is not how sports is supposed to go. It's supposed to be about your season and accomplishing something. Like Burroughs accomplished.
Right. It's the road to that game.
But that's all the coaches were talking about with the kids all the time, and I didn't get it. And because I came from a background where every game is important upon itself.
Right.
So
can we put any blame on the pandemic with this, or is this
No.
something that's built over a
This is
longer
built-
period
yeah.
of time?
Yeah.
how long can we blame the pandemic though for things? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, this is almost generational at this point. This
yeah.
Well, like Craig says, I remember.
which one?
I'm sorry, Sherwood.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day, 1974, when I graduated, they had to set up stands on
Auxiliary
each end
stands. Yes.
of the ends of the field for another 500 people. It was maxed out.
500?
But
More like 2,500.
Well, that was yeah.
yeah, it held
people
7,000.
lined
people
up to
didn't have
see-
anything else to do but go see a football game. They didn't.
Well,
They weren't like this.
you got it.
You know, and-
that camera on you when you did that?
No, but I can
But I think you
reenact
did
it
Yes.
like this.
Well, you're right.
For
And-
people
Dramatic.
on the podcast listening, he's touching his phone
I beg your
in
pardon.
a very unusual way. No.
How dare you?
Well, and that's the unfortunate part. But I will say, the sportsmanship at this game was fantastic.
Yeah, how was the game? How
There
were
were
the
no
players? How was the
fights.
game?
There were no fights, as I have seen in years. There were no streakers, as I have seen in years. There were tuba players out there playing the tubas, and trombonists playing the trombone, and all that stuff. And they were doing their oof boom ba, the cheerleaders and so forth.
Yeah, let's show some love to the players and the cheerleaders and everything. How was the game? Was it a good game?
It was a good game.
Well, not really. They beat them over 30.
When you
Well,
when you
somebody
started
played well. Let's put a
Yeah.
positive spin on
Well,
this.
yeah,
Positive.
The game went the way it should have gone. Burrow's
Yeah.
a much better
Okay.
team. They didn't succumb to the pressure of the big game or whatever.
let me put it this way, Craig D.
Yes, sir.
The first score from Burroughs was 12 seconds into the game.
Mm.
When I said that, I said, "Uh-oh, this is going to be a little
Yeah, a little lopsided.
lopsided,"
little
tonight,
lopsided.
but it wasn't. Burbank did get on the board. They got 2 touchdowns. It was 43-13. So Burbank High did a couple of
Solid effort. Solid effort.
And
job,
the
everybody.
best part, I will
48,
say,
48-13.
what did I say?
43.
48, excuse me.
It was even worse.
The best part at the end of the game, it was traditional Burbank Burros.
Yep.
The guys shook hands, they hugged each other because they go to
Right.
church, they hang together, they go to play things together during the week.
They
and
share
so
a
forth.
community.
Exactly.
Let's not downplay that part.
Well,
of it.
they
We
used
can
to,
poo-poo the rest of it, but
they've always,
And I
it's
saw that.
It's about the game.
but they've
and-
always done that for 75 years. They still fought each other at times. So
But this year, I
Yeah.
tell you,
We're talking about this year, this
Yeah.
game.
and I thought, you know what? It could have turned ugly. It could have been,
Sure.
the coaches are out there, the vice principals are out there waiting for that.
Yeah.
I saw hugs between guys, that know each other, and it wasn't that.
it
the war was ending.
wasn't the year where they started a big, massive brawl with 3 minutes to go in the game.
And bring in a
And
helicopter.
the helicopter came overhead on their PA system saying to stop doing that. And then they turned the sprinklers on and the lights off. That was called chaos.
So in that regard, we can call this an improvement.
Yeah, you know what?
Yes.
It was a peaceful game.
It's nice to see the rewards go to Burroughs.
Yeah.
They won. They're going off to playoffs. They have a couple of players that I saw out there that I just was, I was standing next to Chance Bell, a professional football player who graduated from
I think he was a college football player.
college. And I'll tell you, he's out there and he's just looking at these. He was on the Burroughs side watching a couple of these Burroughs players. I know we did a feature. We're doing a feature on 1 or 2 this week. These kids are just amazing.
And I really hope that, I know for many years when we used to cover the game, I used to go to the games and cover them too. After the Burbank Burroughs game, a couple of star players would say, well, I'm going to sit the playoffs off because I want to make sure I'm ready for college. And I have never understood.
Sure, that didn't sit well with you.
Not at all. It's like the NBA players who have load management. I was surprised some of them actually were playing on opening day, because it's all load management now. You know what? Yeah, if you're an athlete and you're
Play
playing,
for now. Play for today.
Yeah, if you're worried about getting hurt, you will probably get hurt down the line then because
Well, you can get hurt being too cautious
yes.
in some cases, right?
So I just think
So,
let's hope their stars play in the playoff game and they don't sit out and say,
Well, everybody wants to see that.
well, yeah, let's
Everybody wants to
let's
see
put
everybody bring their best.
let's put our best 11 offensive players against your best 11 defensive players, and let's see what happens.
Well, you know what? Burroughs will be playing at home next Friday night.
Let's fill those stands.
Let's fill those stands and
Go support 'em.
and support them, because this is the first time in 6-7 years they've been fighting for this
Since
title.
2015.
Yeah, that's what our
And let's really hope that it's funny. Probably not a sold out place for Friday night. Probably maybe 2/3 full at the most. I bet you're going to see at the most probably 20% filled for a playoff game.
Sounds like a dare, Burbank.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds like a dare to me.
Well, there's so much else going on in our community now. I think about. I cover a lot of things. You got the cultural market going on where you have a couple thousand people. Last Friday, they had the food truck night in Magnolia Park going on. There are a lot of things.
I'm going to say this, though.
The elementary schools had carnivals because of
But
Halloween.
when you think about it, too, in a day where we're losing all these programs in public schools, right? Sports is always at risk to being cut here and there. You have to support it.
Yeah.
If nobody's out there supporting it,
So
then it's not going
but how do you get 100,000 people at these college football games on Saturday? If it's,
stack them like firewood.
everybody has things to do, but yet they all seem to show up at these college football games,
Right.
and at the pro games, So I mean,
It's a call to action, Burbank.
yeah, people
Go to the game.
People will go. The games are full. It's not in Burbank.
Unfortunate.
Well, with that, with that
Sheesh.
positive stuff.
Can we raise the spirits here for the second half?
I think this
For Act
commercial will
Two.
lead us into it.
Yeah?
Let's
The
pause.
commercial for a commercial?
A commercial for a commercial.
All right, here we go.
We'll be right
Press
back.
the button.
Right back after this.
How would you like your business advertised in this very spot? My Burbank Talks is looking for local businesses interested in a 30-second spot to appear in our podcasts. If you're interested, please email advertising@myburbank.com, and we'll be glad to discuss all the exciting possibilities with you. Now, back to our podcast.
Well, Craig Sherwood back with you with Craig Durley and Ross Benson once again, who are both waving. And so those of you who have downloaded the podcast.
Just keep talking. Just keep talking.
Those who downloaded the podcast.
Keep talking, host. We
they
can wave.
You won't hear them, but we'll keep working on that for you people who've complained. I've had emails about
Were there
that.
complaints? Really?
Yeah, that's how I knew about it. I never thought about it. Just somebody had emails saying, when we're listening on the podcast and not watching it, and we don't hear these people, there's like dead air for 5 seconds. I go,
We'll count that as a production note.
See, that's how we knew how he was in the dark for the first 6 shows.
Right. Well,
People finally
I was-
wrote.
he's kind of always in the dark.
yes, I am.
Yeah,
It's a very
right where we like him.
very cloudy experience I have here. Well, let's on Monday we had a retirement at the fire department, and Ross, you're our fire expert here of everybody. So why don't you talk about the retirement we had on Monday?
That would
Which
be
is
today. Burbank Fire Department had went online on all their social media, and they congratulated for a happy retirement to Matt Wagner. And Matt has served the city for 31 years. He's retiring as a captain. He used to be a EMS and a paramedic. He's been a hazmat technician. And I happen to know Matt very, very well. He followed his father's footsteps.
You probably shot his graduation.
No, but I shot his wedding.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I remember many, many years ago. But his dad, Ron Wagner, was a captain with Burbank. Quite well liked, quite known very, very well. That's when you could
Work in the same department together.
exactly. And
Thank you, David Gordon.
he's probably the only one. There's only one or two that could do that. I know we at My Burbank wish Matt happy retirement. And like I said, I photographed his wedding at Descanso Gardens. And every time I saw Matt in the field, he said he always loved looking at his wedding pictures.
Oh, I thought you say he always asked. Every time he saw you, asked where they were. When are you going to get me those pictures?
No,
It's been 20 years.
They got delivered, and Matt was one of the quiet guys, but he was always out there, and I ran into him many times. Had some tragedies in his family several years ago, and he got through it, and he continued working, and just nice to see that he's retiring healthy, and he could
31
enjoy
years.
some retirement years. And I know a lot of people around Burbank Fire Department will miss Matt,
Definitely. Congratulations, Captain Ron. Thanks for your service, man.
Captain Matt. Close.
Wasn't Captain Ron the guy on
Sorry, Matt. Matt. Felon. His dad was
You're
wasn't
right.
Captain
My
Ron
bad,
a
my bad.
shrimp boat captain or something? The guy on the Tom Hanks movie, Forrest Gump. Wasn't that Captain Ron?
Captain Dan.
Captain Dan. There you
Captain
go.
Dan.
Captain Dan.
Where do you guys get this show
Dan.
stuff, man? Who has time to watch movies?
To
and
watch
shows?
Academy Award nominated movies? I don't know.
Right, I know. Forrest Gump. Not seen it? Not gotten to that one yet on Netflix? Is it still in your queue?
I don't think he has that.
Forrest
Forrest
Gump.
Gump.
Maybe it's not on Channel 4 yet, on free broadcast TV.
What happened to
Careful.
council?
If you were not careful, we're going to be part of his rants.
Yes. Well, City Council's off this week.
Off their what?
Yeah,
Off their rocker.
yeah, they're
Well-
some weeks they're off even when they're on, but they're off this week. No,
Isn't it because it's Halloween?
who knows with them?
Well, they got to go take their kids trick or treating.
Or they have to be home to hand out the candy. I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
Cricket. See what happens when the city council's off?
So
Halloween is on tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and
Tuesday.
and I like the next question I
You know,
threw in there.
drive carefully. Kids are running loose. My God, we put
Yes.
leashes on them.
And
And,
please, if you're driving around to look at Halloween decorations and lighting in the dark, please don't turn your headlights off. Please keep your head on a swivel, looking for the people walking around in the dark.
The kids?
Please, please, please. And no sticking your kids out the sunroof so they can see the lights and stuff. Oy vey.
Right. Now, why can't they take their kids out the sunroof to look at the lights?
Because they're not in seatbelts anymore.
Oh,
And they can fall off, things like that. We used to have a big problem in our city around Christmas because we had a whole neighborhood that was very well known for its Christmas lights.
okay. Well, that makes sense. then.
And they'd be driving around with the headlights off. There'd be pedestrians crossing everywhere. And there'd be 5 kids sitting on like the roof of a car going down the road.
And see
And
that
this was a hilly, and they might have to hit the brakes
and
for a
that-
pedestrian or something.
And that's
boom,
why
the
you're here
kids go
because you have the expertise of
I've
knowledge.
had to take many a
You know,
collision, many an injury report as a result.
Last
of
week, on
that kind of
Wednesdays,
stuff. And it certainly ruins the mood.
on Wednesday, I take my granddaughter to swimming, and we have dinner together. And she's in a license, correct. What do you call it? Not a car seat, a booster.
Booster, yeah.
That hooks in with your seatbelt, so she's all snugged in. We're driving down Verdugo, and there's 2 kids next to her. Kids are 3, 4 years old, both hanging out the window
Yeah.
on the passenger side. And I said, "Oh my God!" And she says, "They're not even in seatbelts." And I thought, you know what? If their father hit the brakes, those 2 kids would
Right.
be.
It's funny though.
It doesn't take much, and you'd have people arguing with you about how it's safe. We're going 2 miles an hour. Well, your car's blacked out. You got pedestrians everywhere in the dark. You're looking around at the lights. You're not even looking in front of you. So that last second you have a kid or somebody run out and walking in front of your car, you could be going 2 miles an hour, hit those brakes, and whatever's on top of your car is going to go flying right off your car. Doesn't matter if you're going 2 miles an hour, 1 mile an hour. Doesn't. Just don't. It's not worth it. Not worth the risk.
And you remember the days when we used to have pickup trucks and people used to just ride the back of pickup trucks?
Totally.
Holy cow.
Absolutely. Sure.
So due to tomorrow's Halloween,
Please be careful.
what's your favorite candy?
You know, I know this is a controversial thing.
Let's hear it.
I like the candy corn. I won't say it's my favorite, but because it's so controversial, people are so divided. There have been world wars fought over candy corns.
I bought a bag. You can get them in just like with 20, 30 pieces,
Yeah.
just because I wanted to bite off that tip.
Right. Right. You take it one little nibble at a time. But I don't know. Peanut M&Ms are always a good one. The little Milky Ways. I was always more partial to the Milky Way than the Snickers because it didn't have the peanuts in it. Didn't make me
And
so
that's why
thirsty when I
like
was
the
walking around.
I like the Mounds to the Almond Joy for that same reason. I didn't
Almond
like
Joys?
the Almond Joy. Almond Joy is just a Mounds with an almond. in
Well,
it.
Mounds got nuts. No, Almond Joys get nuts. Mounds don't.
Yes.
Right.
But I was actually.
But the Mounds was also dark chocolate. Dark
I
chocolate.
like the dark chocolate better. But I was partial to the $100,000 bar. I used to enjoy the $100,000 bar.
But when people used to come
100
by,
grand, 100 grand.
Yeah.
That had the rice, right? That was a chocolate bar and had the rice
it
under
was
the
kinda,
chocolate.
Yeah, it was kind of like
Made it crunchy.
kind of like a Nestle's Crunch with in a candy bar form.
Gotcha.
but I'm just curious, a couple years ago, if you came by the podcast studio and the front of this place was all decorated out with,
I spent thousands of dollars on those decorations, and then my roommates threw it all away.
but I want to know how much,
All the way.
some of the nights that you were the busiest, you didn't give away the mini chocolates.
No, we gave away the full size bars.
Oh,
And
see,
he gave away the
those houses you always made note of because
And
the,
you know
the
how
place
many-
that gave away the full size
And
candies.
you know how many I gave away in those 3 hours? Close to 1,500.
Gee,
We had
whiz.
15
You know what he
kids sitting
dropped
there.
in chocolate on this block?
But I always looked at it as when I was a kid growing up here, here in Burbank, and especially in this neighborhood, every Halloween, our neighbors always did a lot for me as a kid.
So you wanted to return that.
I wanted to return
Return
that
the
favor.
favor, yeah.
Of course, my roommates who
It was always a big deal
But-
when houses gave away the full size
Right.
Do you
candy.
remember when?
And we're a long
Oh,
way away
Bob-
from candied
Bob
apples.
Bob Hope used to give away back in 50 years. Bob Hope used to give away 50-cent pieces, and then all the way up to $2 bills at one time.
Well, they're worth
Did-
about
did-
20 cents
Were we
now.
living together on Olive when we did the house up there?
Oh yeah, you had your special effects friend
had
of your son come over.
John.
Don't look at me.
Oh yeah, John. He worked at Universal in special effects, and
Right.
he used to put metal plates on his arms and his knees, and he would
For the sparks.
run down the sidewalk in sparks and come up behind people. Or I had a guy with a chainsaw without the chain. I remember Brandy Stonecipher, his wife. They owned Save On Appliances. He brought a stove over that they cut the back out. We put some dry ice coming off the top, and somebody in ghoulish, blood coming out of their mouth, and the front of the stove would open and scare the willy jillies out of people. I remember we went through so much candy. I had to go back 3 times to the store.
But they weren't the full size bars.
Oh no, they weren't.
Well,
But the Burbank police came out. I had a neighbor that hated Halloween, and he complained that the kids lined up on the sidewalk. They estimated we had 15 to 2,000 people. Well, the next day,
bring them to the Burroughs game.
Matt would go to school, and everybody would be talking about Matt Benson's house. The effects that we did, the
Those
lights.
are already kind of a scary looking house.
It was,
Kind of
wasn't it?
ominous, yeah.
But I remember
But
for
you,
years.
you buried the lead. Inquiring minds want to know. Burbank wants to know what your favorite candy was, or
Well,
is.
it's always been I'm a Snickers fan, but I bought a bag this week. I'm not even going to open my door tomorrow night, but I bought a bag, so I'm eating some stuff. Tootsie Rolls. My tooth is really liking that.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
you'll find out how secure they are in your
my
mouth.
crowns, you're right.
Yeah.
And something mints, little chocolate mints.
A little the junior mints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are
And
always
then
good.
dots.
Peppermint patties
Yeah.
were always good too.
And something nugget. Nugget.
Nougat is what's it's in like a Snickers and all that. About the Three Musketeers. How did I forget Three Musketeers?
Yeah.
My favorite candy bar of all time.
Oh,
Next to Twix. But
left Twix or right Twix?
here's your a middle of the road Twix.
Oh, okay.
I just melt them together. But your trivia, since you're a big Snickers fan, do you know where the name Snickers came from?
I have no idea. I'm not.
This is a two-parter. It's a 2-for-1
Okay.
learning experience.
Wow.
Snickers was the name of the horse owned by the Mars family of Mars Bar. Snickers was their horse.
How do you like that? Now,
There you
see,
go.
people will
Remember,
pay.
didn't you used to give away prizes or something? When the
Yes, we
word of
did.
the day is
We're gonna maybe do that next week. As soon as
Yeah.
my partner here goes by and picks up our gift cards, we're gonna start doing
sounds
that.
like an assignment, Roscoe.
Ooh.
It's been 2 weeks now, and we're
Jeez,
still
you're on
waiting.
notice. I think you're on notice.
Uh-oh, I
But
guess.
there you go.
I
There's
better-
your trivia of the day.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
But and how many kids? I know my granddaughters will come home tomorrow night. I think it was last year. I was on assignment. One of the girls was sick, so I took my oldest granddaughter, Maddie, and we went around the block. And there was this one house, and I happened to know the guy that owned the house, and he had a PA on, and he whispered in my ear, "What's your granddaughter's name?" And I said, "Maddie." And he got on the PA, and Maddie walks up to the house, and the house starts saying, "Hi, Maddie." She has reminded me 100 times, we're not going by that.
Did she do the cartoon leg thing where her feet left the ground, or feet never touched the ground?
She still can't figure out how the house knows her name.
Maddie.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I missed it. I wish my roommates would. That was like $3,000 of blow up stuff, and I had 8 smoke machines. I had even a friend of mine came dressed as a clown and would run out of the smoke at people, and I was doing it, and they threw it all away. I said, "No, he's don't, they wouldn't help me set it up anymore." No, I said,
So that graveyard you have in the front yard now is a real one?
It's a real graveyard.
It's a real grave. Former roommates.
Yes.
R.I.P.
Yeah, it's sad, but life goes on, I guess.
All right. Have fun.
Well,
be careful
again,
on Halloween.
everybody have fun. If your kids are bringing home candy, make sure that
check them
that it's store bought. I noticed the candies that I bought are double packaged this year with cellophane, so you could tell if there's anything tampering. And
don't get an apple.
No fresh food.
No fresh fruit.
Yeah,
no fresh fruit. Anyhow, let's move on to Wednesday. Now, here's something which I'm not sure, but we're going to say it the way we hear it, and we'll let somebody decide what's right and what's wrong. I remember a couple of months ago, the city council voting not to go to 1 day a week watering.
I got a text. I text.
This just in.
I just text the Water and Power PR person, Armin.
Okay, who I don't think was working then at that time.
I happen to have his cell phone.
Okay.
And he says, "Hi, Ross. Yes, November 1st, we will change to 1 day again. I have a banner ad for my Burbank that we'll post when I send it out later tonight."
Okay, so I guess that's starting November 1st, which is Wednesday, only 1 day a week of watering is allowed.
That's pretty good. I get text
and that's
during the show.
Wow.
You can only
that breaking news.
But I thought they talked about not doing that at the city council meeting, and I guess I was wrong then, which I was admit when I'm wrong. So it's 1 day a week on Saturdays only for 15 minutes. That's it.
Now, see, I'm pretty observant watching Twitter. So.
Last week we had 44 inches of rain. 2 years ago we had 5 inches of rain. So let's hope we have maybe somewhere in between
1 day
this year. No, for the
year.
We actually had
a lot of rain.
It did sound like
one.
In August we actually had 7.5 inches in 1 day. So,
all right.
Anyhow, the Civil Service Board meeting has been canceled, but one big event is going to happen on Wednesday, and it's already sold out actually. But just because it's sold out does not mean you still cannot participate during the day. And that's the at Tequila's restaurant. They're having an event there. It's a cancer event, the prevention of cancer, being a very serious subject.
Yeah, we've written there was we did a couple articles
and we did a podcast on it.
Our own Ashley Erickson,
and she's actually the master of ceremonies.
Master of ceremonies, and she's also has had quite a bit of cancer in her family. Her and Patty Rivera, the owner of Tequila's.
We're big fans of Patty and Carlos at Tequila's.
They have put up curtains on their patio. I know somebody saw my picture up there. I am a survivor or not survivor, but I've had cancer surgery. As some people can see on my head, I have a scar where they took cancer out of my head. I've had it on my neck. I've had it on my leg. Craig had surgery on Craig Sherwood on cancer.
It's hard to find anybody that it hasn't affected in one way or another. Someone close to them.
They have.
Well, anyhow, the event is sold out for that night, but I know that a couple of us are going to go there for lunch, actually.
Yeah, you can donate all day.
And we will not only have lunch there, because I think 20% of all the money goes to
St. Joe's Disney Cancer Center.
Right. But we'll also make a donation from My Burbank also. So, you can go there all day and make that, and you probably can go there anytime and because she's very, very, very proactive in
You
this
could
area.
go on the article that we printed, and she has a link. They gave Tequila's a direct link to the cancer center. So
So check those out at myburbank.com. But Tequila's is 4310 Magnolia Boulevard. And the Burbank, the pink Burbank police car will be there, too.
yep, it's the last event that it'll be at this year.
All right, go see it.
Even though it's not in October, it's going to be in November, but that doesn't matter. We'll move on to Thursday. The Water and Power Board is going to meet at 5 o'clock. They're going to, Calvin Clark, who's a senior electrical engineer, is going to present some key points and mutual benefits of entering into an electrical services agreement between the city of Burbank and the ranch lot that is now owned by Worth.
Ranch Lot Studios, was that the Warner or the
yes, Ranch
Warner
Lot
Ranch?
Studio owner in LLC. Anyhow, they're going to talk about power distribution and all that stuff, and expanding the power facility and everything else. It's going to be mutually beneficial to the city and to the facility.
Does this mean they're looking at the city's trying to work out a deal to put some power infrastructure on that property?
I think they're going to do more of a substation in the area or something, because I guess the substation only has like 15 to 20 more years left of.
Okay.
And so might as well upgrade it now and start.
And this is the former Warner Brothers Ranch property, which is now a dirt lot. I drove by today, and it's dirt. It's gone.
So, but there will be 16 sound stages, a parking structure, offices,
and maybe some electrical equipment. But no parking meters.
They're also going to bring up that the Water and Power Board is going to recommend to the City Council. Oh, you mean there's a board that recommends things to the City Council, actually? That the BW continue the pool cover incentive. So if you have a pool cover and you need to be incentivized, holy cow, with the following modifications. If you add pool cover reels as an eligible cost, they're going to increase the maximum bill credit amount from $50 to $100 per address.
So is this?
So by covering a heated pool, it keeps the heat into it, using less power to heat the pool.
Okay. Or I thought maybe it was an evaporation to slow the evaporation of the water or something. So the city provides an incentive.
I think it's multiple benefits.
So the city provides some incentive, financial incentive.
Now I didn't say if it's $100 a month or $100 a year
or just one time.
One time only,
to install it, I guess maybe.
But
Craig, I think
$100 is $100.
Craig Sherwood, I think you should attend that meeting and report back for us.
I think that nobody probably cares.
Wow. Well, we put it here.
Yeah, well,
right there.
But at least they do report to the City Council, like some other boards and commissions do not do. The school board is going to meet on Thursday at 7 p.m. at City Hall, and they're going to talk about a potential facility general obligation bond measure. What I found interesting when I was kind of researching this a little bit on what they want to do is if they do a bond measure, it says a local independent citizens oversight committee is required to ensure that bond funds are properly spent. Also by law, there must be annual audits of expenditures, and no bond money can be used for teacher or administrative salaries. Basically, the tax rate is going to be around $49.24 per each $100,000 of assessed value on your home, and they have to decide by December 7th if they want to put it on the March ballot. I'm very happy to know that, number one, it can't go to salaries, so we can't give everybody give everybody a raise. But I have once again, I'm going to say I have two things. Number one, they cannot decrease the spending that they currently have, because now they have extra money coming in to fund those things instead. They have to maintain the funding levels they currently have and add this to that.
So this can only augment
augment it, but not by law. But what I'm saying has to be done. And number two, it says an independent committee. It doesn't say how the independent committee is picked. Now, if 5 school board members pick their 5 buddies,
so it doesn't go beyond into more detail than that.
No,
in what you read
right
about the selection. Of
It doesn't say how they're selected.
Okay. So in theory, the school board can make up that committee.
The school board, no, school board can appoint the committee, and it can be all their husbands and wives for all matter. They would not allow that, of course, but I just think you have to have. I'd love to see 5 business owners in Burbank, or just people who have no interest in the schools whatsoever, no kids in the schools, nothing, and who.
That all of a sudden have a say in how.
Yeah. And like I say, I just don't want to see money going. If right now they're paying, let's say, as an example, they're giving $100 toward this project. And now they're saying, well, we got this bond money. So, we're going to pull that $100 out. And now the bond can pay that $100 for that project. And we can take that $100 out and use it for raises. So, they
no shell games here.
They circumvented what needs to be done. So, until I have those guarantees, I still say vote no. Because I need to have those 2 guarantees. I don't trust the school board. Not when they keep giving raises out to people. They keep carrying up administrative contracts, giving new contracts out with raises.
And then they leave.
Yeah. Give out a contract in May and then fire them in June. That's I don't get it. But And then who knows what's going on? My other problem is it's very secretive there. They passed the entire council district that's going on. They passed districts for school board elections now, and never put a word out to anybody about it. So, in fact, the city council didn't even know about it.
There you go.
Okay, they're also going to vote
more money
to give out more stipend money to the Board of Education members. They're going to increase the stipends to $1,500 per year.
What do they get now? Do we know?
No, I didn't say. Oh. So I mean, $1,500 is not a big thing, but it's just funny.
No, they're going to have expenses a lot throughout the year. So.
They do go out to many things, and
they also ran for the position too.
Yeah,
but
Ross, you go out to a lot of events for us.
Yeah, but they go to lunches and dinners, and they have to drive around doing city business and all that. That's nothing to complain about there. Enjoy your stipend.
On Friday, Bros football once again is going to be hosting a playoff game, and they'll be playing the Agora Chargers. So hopefully,
right on. Go to the game, people. Support them. Go Burros.
Let's hope they do well.
Absolutely.
I mean, you play your whole season, of course, to win a league title, and your reward is you get to host a playoff game. Now, for that game, nobody gets in for free. The students don't get for free. No ASB cards because the CIF controls the playoff. And the CIF takes half of all the money that's brought in at a game you send to the CIF. They get
that's nice of them.
Yeah, they get half the cut, which is why years ago in football, I think they have 15 or 16 divisions of football, and they have numerous games because they bring in more money. Where in other sports that don't have that income, they have a lot less divisions because, we don't get to make the money off those things. But the CIF and all playoff games of all sports makes half the gate, which I think, in these times. But so that's why the students.
Let the schools have the money.
Not even faculty can get in for free. Nobody. You got to pay the CIF once they're.
I can't go and tell them I know Dick Dornan?
Nope. You could at an LA City game. You could.
Oh,
he's in charge of LA City.
Oh, I think Dick should go with me. He must have a golden credit card.
Oh, he has far more than that.
It's probably platinum.
He has the Golden Dome at Notre Dame, actually, as a Notre Dame alum.
So good luck to Burros football.
Yep.
Hoorah!
This weekend. Dig, of course.
Dig
standing for.
You have to yell it. It's in all caps.
DIG. This week they're going to be at McCambridge Park from 8 to 10 a.m. So bring your hoe with you.
What?
I said bring your hoe with you.
If you want a carpool.
How you gonna dig up those flower beds without a hoe?
No offense, I
There's
I
too
drive
many.
by there, twice a day, and sometimes I've seen some.
In other words, if you don't bring a hoe, there might be a hoe there waiting for you.
There's a couple of
I
bus
didn't say.
benches.
Did I say that? I didn't say that.
It's just this
We're still a PG.
so bad. Well, not for
I'm
long.
Sorry. I can't believe we went
It's
there.
a family show, Mr. Sherwood.
So Dig is a Burbank. Dig Burbank is a voluntary program that helps keep our parks beautiful. Volunteers pull weeds, mulch, plant, and pick up trash in Burbank parks, of course, and they use their hoe. So, also coming up this weekend at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Does it have to? I
Yes.
gotta get. Wait, I'm already up.
In case you and in case you haven't ever seen it, it's very interesting to watch your TV guide on your screen or your clock on a electronic clock. Those clocks move from 2 to 1 o'clock all of a sudden.
Yeah. Or
So 2 a.m.
most people change their clocks like before they go to bed on
Right.
Saturday night. But if you forget when you get up Sunday, don't forget to change the
No.
clocks.
And if I don't have any clocks, I have to change it. Everything is automatic.
Every
except
time the
for
clock,
one.
we have to change the clocks. I go around my house just murmuring to myself, I have too many darn clocks in this house that don't change themselves.
Does your VCR still flash?
It's still flashing 12 o'clock. Still flashing 12 o'clock. I can't figure
Did
it
I put
out.
that down somewhere? Oh, I did.
Oh, you did. Okay, look at that. You did write that down.
And for all our fellow photographers out there, don't forget to change the clocks in your cameras too.
And what's the big one, Ross? I can't believe you didn't write this down for everybody. What's the big thing on the end of daylight savings time? What's the most important thing you need to
Change
do?
your
Change your carbon monoxide.
and
Or your
smoke
alarm.
detector.
Oh,
And
and
carbon.
Smoke detectors.
I think there might be a carbon monoxide leak in
Yes.
the studio. As a matter of fact,
Change all your.
we're losing them.
Change
No,
all
you
your
guys-
batteries.
You guys were talking about TV Guide, and I got to thinking here, my brain. You guys remember the TV Guide
Absolutely, the
I still
crossword. I
subscription?
always had a crossword puzzle in the back.
I
too.
still get it.
Cricket.
Mail?
Cricket.
Yes.
Cricket.
TV Guide magazine.
No, this was that.
It
like,
comes. I get it every 2 weeks. It comes out every 2 weeks.
Oh,
But now it's a full size.
have we gone back in time? Did
Now
we
it's
put the clocks back? How far did we put them back?
Now it's a full size magazine compared to the little 5x7.
Well, we used to get the little book, and you would
Same size
collect.
as a
You'd
Reader's
collect them.
Digest.
You'd collect them. They
It-
put
it
the big
was-
celebrities on
It
the
was the
cover.
number one selling magazine
Yeah,
every year.
You had to have it.
Yeah.
you didn't know what was on TV. All
Yeah,
4 channels.
Not only do I get the TV Guide magazine delivered, but I also get their streaming guide delivered.
Look at him strutting around over here like he's proud of this.
Oh, I am because I
Can we get a
stream.
survey? Can we get a survey on
We
this?
don't have cable or satellite here, so I stream everything.
The other day I was flipping around, and there was,
Don't hurt yourself. We know what happens when you flip around.
and I think it was not the Golden Arches. What was the boxes?
The boxes?
The game with
Sounds like is it bigger than a bread box? What
Yeah.
is it? What?
No, with and it would be tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row.
Tic
Paul
tac toe.
Lynn.
Wouldn't tic-tac-toe be
It's tic tac toe.
Was it tic-tac-toe?
Yeah.
Name that tune?
Well, that was Hollywood Squares.
There you
were
go.
thinking of the game show,
Yes,
not the
that's-
game. Was tic tac toe that they played though?
Yes.
Hollywood Squares. And I was
Paul Lynn, center square.
Paul
Peter
Lynn.
Marshall, the host.
Paul Lynn. Those were the good old
Where were you?
days.
Okay, where were you going with
Oh,
this?
How about
Where was this? Where were you going with this?
How about Charlie Weaver?
You just going back in time?
Remember Charlie Weaver on that show?
I don't. That might have been before my time. You guys are much older than I am.
When I was a
much.
kid, I used to actually go over to NBC and watch them film that a couple times.
Film.
Yes, or
Hmm.
what did they do back then? Videotape it, or
I don't know.
Videotape in front of
You're
a live
talking about the
studio
old
audience.
days.
I was a security guard at the old NBC, working in an elephant door during midnight special
I used to go to Midnight Specials.
with
I saw Steppenwolf there.
who was the
I saw Barry Manilow there.
who was the host?
Wolfgang
Wolfgang Puck.
No,
Wolfgang Puck.
no, Wolfgang.
Wolfman Jack.
Well, there you go.
God, what would you do without me? I fill in all the little blanks here.
Wolfman
Nobody
Jack.
we apologize to the listeners and the viewers.
Hey everybody.
Who was it? Was that you?
That's Wolf. That was Wolfman.
Oh.
A bad imitation.
Wolfman
of
Jack.
Wolfman. So
I remember Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
Remember, those were shows. That was the great days.
I also remember going and watching Wheel of Fortune with the
Yeah.
But before Pat Sajak was the host, it was the guy who did the dating games. What was it? That guy?
Oh, he used to do the equestrian at the
Yeah.
Rose
Wink Martindale?
No, Wink Martindale did Newlywed Game, didn't he?
No,
Jeez,
No.
you're
no,
losing
the
me.
guy that did the equestrians for the Rose Parade. He's the same one that did.
Oh, Bob Eubanks.
No. Bob Eubank did
No.
the Rose Parade on Channel 5. No,
No.
he did the Newlywed Game. Holy
I
cow.
don't know.
We had no lives back then.
I don't know. We don't have any lives now. Look what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Sorry,
Okay.
everybody.
Well, real fast, we're just going to remind everybody. We'll talk about it more in the future, but Holiday in the Park is coming on November 17th.
Holiday in the
Mark
Park.
your calendars for that thing. It's on Magnolia from Florence to Hollywood Way. So they're going to close the street down starting at 8 a.m. that day, and it'll be a huge event, and we'll talk a lot more about it next week.
Find alternate places to get your morning coffee.
Did you hear me say to you the other night that we might have special guests at our My Burbank booth?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what we're going to do that night.
We're going to have just a
We're
booth
still
to have
working.
our
Still in
guests.
negotiations.
No, he said he'd be there. Tim Conway Jr. wants
Timmy.
somewhere to sit,
Timmy.
so we'll give him a chair. He's still the mayor of Magnolia Park. I gave him that,
Does he have a sash?
no, but I can make
Oh.
him a crown.
A scepter? Crown and a
Oh, wait,
scepter?
you can't have crowns. You got to have the royal court.
Yeah, you can't have crowns anymore. You can't call them king and queens anymore. You have to call them royalty now.
And we'll be right across from your Ferris wheel.
Yes. You, me. Anyhow, it's time now.
Oh.
It's what you've been waiting
This
for.
is going to be big.
It's why you've been watching this for the last 1 hour and 11 minutes, because your life is even more or less valuable than ours, I guess.
Wow.
Anyhow,
We'll bleep that out in editing.
it is
Attention
now.
post-production.
It is now time for Ross's rant.
Ross's rant. And it says here, put your safety goggles on because it's going to be big.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Bring it.
Ross's rant. Well, I renewed my prescription
That guy from
The
Medicare.
fun one, I hope.
for my memory, because tonight it's out the window like it is every week. But I'm driving down Olive to come to the studio. And why is our streets all unpaved and knockety rockety? I know my shocks aren't that great, but you know what? You drive down Magnolia, they've done some repair work, and the street's all screwed up. You drive down Olive, and in the number 1 lane, the street's all screwed up. It just blows me away that after they do this work, the earth settles. Why don't they go out there 6 months later and go, oh, I think we need to level this out? I'm glad I don't ride a motorcycle anymore. I remember the days of riding a motorcycle.
You know what's funny? I last night went to a friend's house. We had a
Wait.
get together. We went to a get together for old Crespi people. Faculty.
It was a Zoom call.
And I had to go out Sherman Way and a little way. And I got to tell you, the street, Sherman Way, it might as well have been a dirt road. I mean, I was bouncing off, and I couldn't believe, and that's a street in L.A. Now, to me, Burbank streets are far better than that, but you're right. There are streets in Burbank that are absolutely torn to shreds.
And we're not even coming up to the end of a fiscal year. A lot of times, you know what happens at the end of a fiscal year? Holes are dug so they get the money to fill them in the next fiscal year.
Well, I think that's a decent Ross's rant, because I drive all over the city and I go down some streets and I just cannot believe. Some streets are great. We have, and I know they grade them. ABC. No offense. Some of us.
I think
they're
you're
failing.
I think you're absolutely right, though, when you say they need to go back 6 months later and re-examine those streets, because the paving recedes into the ground a little more.
Settles. And,
Yeah, and it's uneven, and
we don't have the weather here that other parts of the country do to
right.
cause.
And it might be nice for the first 30 days after they repave it.
Looks pretty and
But
all.
six-
But are they repaving it or are they just slurry sealing? Because slurry sealing
Well,
is just more cosmetic
yeah,
than anything.
But I agree. I mean,
I understand they're laying more lines underground and internet here and more cabling and more.
What drives me crazy is when they slurry seal a street or repave a street, like the very next day, there's spray paint on it because they're going to trench it for some cabling or some infrastructure things. Like you didn't know that was going to happen. Couldn't wait till after. They're already going to tear it up.
All right, that was my rant.
This ended up being a group rant.
Yeah, it's good rant. I fully agree with you. But like I say, you could live in L.A. and
but we don't.
You'd have to wear a mouthpiece because your teeth would be rattling all the time.
No, I'd lose my tooth like this.
See?
Well,
can't whistle.
Whistle. I got a place for a straw when I take it out.
Well, I think that's it for another week. I think we've done all we can to brutalize the world.
Go Burrows.
Go Burrows this Friday night.
Good luck.
And we hope that they do well and playing a second week. You know, it'd be nice to see them win I'm not sure what division they're in. I think they're in 9 or 10 or 11 or something. I'm not really sure, but they're not
I'll check our reporter's story for that.
Yeah, I've got to
go to myburbank.com and look it up.
I got to talk to our reporter. Our reporter said that I talked about winning the Foothill League. I go, no. They're the Pacific League now. That's been a few years.
Oops.
So, anyhow.
All right.
Wrap it up.
We will talk to you later. For Ross Benson and Craig Durley, this is Craig Sherwood saying that we will talk to you again next week.
My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of My Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, the Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Gain Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequila's Cantina and Grill, UPS Store on 3rd Street, and Hill Street Cafe.